Hey there guys, and welcome back to Hursty Games, and welcome to my FIFA 18 cheap team, like cheap OP team. Now, I was going to call this like 10k team or whatever, like last year. I don't know if you guys saw it at all, but I did a FIFA 17 12k team, which is a bit of a weird amount, but I kind of set a budget and then went over it a little bit because of a couple of players being quite OP. But this year, if anything, I've gone the other way. It's called a 10k team, but actually the team's about 8, maybe 8.5k. But I'll build it and show you guys this pretty insane team. So as you can see here, we are playing a 4-1-2-1-2 bracket 2, so the narrow 4-1-2-1-2, and I'm just going to build the team. So first off, in goal, it's probably one of the weakest players in the team. I'm going to be brutally honest with you, and he does okay, like he makes some great saves sometimes, but it will be the first player that I would replace if I was you. But I'll get more into that later. But that is Gomez. Gomez is going to start off this team in goal for us. I mean, decent. I've kind of just talked smack about him, which isn't the best way to start a here's an OP team kind of video, but actually he does do a good job, especially for like how cheap he is. At right back, we're going to go with Karsdorp, one of the most expensive players in this team, and he really isn't very expensive. But below, I'm going to show you the prices that they are at the time of me making this video. So somewhere on the screen, you'll see the players popping up with their current PlayStation and Xbox prices off of Footbin. So feel free to have a little look at that at the time as well to make sure that it's close. But then we have Juan Jesus playing centre-back. Pretty OP, very, very good-looking stats, very quick and very physical, which is exactly what you want for a centre-back. Then we're going to jump over to the Liga Santander. I forgot which club he... Oh, no, I've already remembered. But either way, we're going to then play Paulista, which some of you might recognise as Gabriel from Arsenal last year. He's obviously gone over to Valencia. And it's a pretty good card, actually. It doesn't look anything special, but he plays really, really well. I put an anchor on him just to increase that pace just a little bit. And then next to him, his teammate, Gaia. There's not too much you can say about Gaia. He's just a very strong card. I say that, he's got 68 physical. But strong as in powerful, as in a good card in the game. Not necessarily his physicality. But Sentinel does help that, buff that up by 3. So he fits in at left back. Now at CDM, we go back to the Premier League. I don't actually have a CDM card on this guy, purely because I use him in another team as a CM, but he's on full chemistry. It's Renato Sanchez sitting in at that CDM position. He was OP last year. He was pretty OP, I think, the year before as well. And this year, he's still pretty darn good. So he fits in at CDM. On the right-hand side, we stick with Swansea, and we put in Leroy Fer. I mean, look at that card. It's so well-rounded. The lowest stat being 70 defence. And he's not even that defensive. Obviously, playing in centre mid, he goes back and forward a lot, but he's pretty good for me. On the other side, again, we're sticking with Swansea. To keep these strong links in, we play Mesa. Mesa, I highly recommend. I think he is absolutely fantastic. Again, one of the more expensive players in the team, but definitely worth the money. He's absolutely phenomenal. I cannot credit him enough. He plays so well. Then, after that, I've already forgot. I think it's West Ham. Yeah, I completely forgot where he played. It's Lanzini. Lanzini at Cam. I've heard a lot of people kind of not necessarily rate Lanzini, but I think actually he does play very, very well. Really good cam. I have him on free roam, and he does a great job. And then up top, we are staying in the Premier League. We're going to Bournemouth. On the we'll start off with the left-hand side. We have King, is where I play him. I mean, he's incredible. He's really, really good. King of the assists, actually. But actually, the proper king of this team is Callum Wilson. He is absolutely incredible. He is so, so good. For me, honestly, I would say I'd pick him over Rashford. I haven't used Jesus too much, but for me, Wilson has a better goal return for any times I've used Jesus, Rashford, Vardy, Musa, any of those kind of players. Callum Wilson is incredible and absolutely the champion of this team. So that there is the cheap 10k or less team. I mean, I'm going to show you some gameplay in a second. We're going to jump into some footage. But honestly, this team is so, so good. I mean, you could play... I know a lot of people like the 4-2-3-1. You can actually play the 4-2-3-1 with this. If you put Mesa and Renato Sanchez at CDM, then you put Fer, Lanzini, and I would put King as the 3 cams, and then Wilson up top. But for me personally, this is my favourite formation. It's really, really good. On the bench, some other noticeable players who were very close but didn't maybe fit in because of either formation or chemistry, things like that. They're all Premier League just because it's the league that I know the best, but Foster is quite good in goal, has moments, but Foster is okay. And Bemba is a pretty good, powerful centre-back. He's quite similar to Juan Jesus, actually. Daniels, even though he doesn't look that good, is actually quite a solid left-back. He reminds me a little bit of Danny Rose, in that Danny Rose's card doesn't look phenomenal, but plays very, very well. So Daniels is a very, very good, cheap left-back. One of the best players in the game, and the only reason he's not in this team is because of chemistry. And Didi is incredible. And Didi, honestly, is on par, if not maybe a little bit better than Renato Sanchez, but because of chemistry, Sanchez has to go in. But I highly recommend. He's about 500-600 coins, I think, in Didi, so he might be worth a shout. No wingers needed in the team, so Townsend doesn't make it in, but has a very, very good card. Very, very good crossing, actually. He's only got 73 passing, but his crossing is really, really good. Barkley is pretty good as well. I would put him just under Lanzini, pretty close, but just under. And Berahino, for me, is quite a good OP striker, but King and Wilson just run the show for me. But enough of me babbling. We're going to jump into some highlights. We're going to start off with some more sort of like defensive highlights, so you can actually see that I'm not just like, oh, it scores lots of goals, even though that is actually the main premise of this team in particular. It does do its defensive job, and then we'll jump into the goals. So let's jump in and look at some highlights. Okay, so jumping into some highlights. As I said, we'll start off defensively. Gomez is really, really good, actually. I did give him a lot of smack, but there are some times where I'm like, you could have done a little bit better. But, I mean, he is like a 500 coin, roughly, keeper. But the real strength in this, defensively, this team, is definitely the centre-backs and Renato Sanchez. Those middle three are solid. They play so, so well. Geyer and Karsdorp do very, very well as fullbacks. But the middle defensive three are definitely your solid three. You want Renato Sanchez on stay back while attacking, and he'll do a great, great job. But now we are going into the goals. Like I said, it's not many defensive highlights because I know the goals are what people want to see. The goals are where you kind of get an OP cheap team. And that front two of King and Wilson, honestly, I cannot begin to say to you enough how incredible they are. They just get goals for fun. Roque Mesa is a little bit, he doesn't get all of the credit because he doesn't score all of the goals, but he pops up with some fantastic goals. There's a goal later on, sort of edge of the box, that Roque Mesa gets, and it's a fantastic finish. He just kind of drives it into the bottom corner. It's phenomenal. But the pace of King and Wilson really does tear teams apart. Obviously, they can keep up with each other. I think King actually has better shooting stats, but for me, Wilson is the best finisher in this team. He is absolutely incredible. I mean, the build-up as well is massively important with this team. Passing it around. I'm going to put stats at the bottom. I'm going to show sort of like best goal scorers, best goal returns, most assists, all of this kind of stuff. And the passing in this team, for me, I mean, it's kind of my play style anyway, but for me, it's the way to get the most out of some of these teams. Being able to knock it around the midfield. You've got the likes of Sanchez, Lanzini, Mesa, and Fer that can just make passes, make space for each other, and it gives the likes of King and Wilson. So like here, we're knocking it about, then King makes a good run through. We get a little bit caught, but again, the space is made. Mesa pulls forward and gets a great finish. He's right-footed, and it's a great goal on his left foot. So it's just making the space. That's really all it is. Now, I haven't tried this team on Foot Champs because obviously I didn't play it across the weekend. But a lot of these games that I'm playing are either in the daily knockout tournament or just single online player games. It actually won the tournament for me the first time, and then the second time I think I got to the final and I lost. Yeah, I lost in the final. But the goals just appear. Like the goals kind of just happen. Now, I personally am not the best defender. That's all on me. I'm not a fantastic defender, but I mean we know that from other clips that I've shown you and other things that you've all seen. But the defence for me is good enough that I feel like I can still win games by attacking. I can still just be, right, I need goals, I need goals, I need goals, and they happen. Lanzini pops up with some great goals. He pops up with so many assists, though. Assists are all down to him and King. Him and King, I think between them, are pretty much even, because Wilson just gets all the goals. Wilson is incredible. I think he's nearly on 2 goals a game. Like, he just plays so well. But the quick build-up, passing it around well, getting it from back to forward is so, so important. Your fullbacks will be really, really vital in this, in that when you've got the ball with them, make a run. Kind of surge forward a little bit, because you've got the likes of Renato Sanchez defending, so he will sit back and be quite physical for you, so you can afford to have one of your fullbacks running up the pitch. Crosses are okay in this team. Corners, I got a couple of corner goals. Paulista popping up with a couple of goals. I don't think Juan Jesus got any, but the centre-back's doing quite well in the air. But apart from that, so like direct free kicks, for example, Lanzini you've got for... I don't think I scored a free kick. I think I got a penalty, but I don't think I got a free kick. But, I mean, set pieces aren't massively my thing anyway. But I would say corners, you want to be aiming for the likes of Paulista, really. I think he got most of, if not majority, and maybe even all of my headed goals. But like I said here, look, pushing forward, getting that attack into defence, making the space for those two strikers is vital. Lanzini here with a fantastic run, and then he can just power it across the goal. I say that, he didn't power it at all. King got the naff shot rebound. But it's so good. I cannot kind of vouch for you guys enough how well this team plays. But enough of me babbling on. Go and try this team out for yourself. I highly recommend it. I really think you guys will enjoy it and have fun. That's the main thing. I've really had fun using this team. The likes of Wilson being one of the best cards I've used all year round. So go and try it, find out for yourself, and let me know how well this team does for you. If you try it, of course, let me know if you want to see maybe some slightly different players in this team, like other people that I would put in. So, for example, I mentioned earlier that Gomez would be the first person I replace. If you had the coins, I would get Edison because it keeps the chemistry. It's obviously a Brazilian keeper. It's a very, very good keeper. And I think this team, slowly but surely, you could just build and get yourself more, sort of build from there and make a bigger team. But if you've only sort of got a small budget of 10k or less, this for me personally is a great team to use. I've babbled enough. I'm going to stop here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave a like if you like the team, or of course if you've used it and it's helped, anything like that. And leave a comment for any other kind of team or squad builders you want to see in the future. But for now, I'm going to say thank you very much. Guys, look after yourselves, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Adios.